Namaste to you guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment. And today I want to speak about the topic called spiritual awakening, and I'm gonna name this video Spiritual Awakening a Blessing or a Curse, or both. Now, I had an awakening back in 2014 when my chakra system really opened itself. It opened to a new state, it opened to the awakened state of consciousness. And what is a spiritual awakening? Well, a spiritual awakening is actually the awakening of the Kundalini energy. What is the Kundalini energy? It is divine life force, feminine energy that lays at the back of our spine. Now, when this energy awakens, we are experiencing a new state of consciousness. We are experiencing a state of consciousness that is represented by love, peace, harmony, abundance. And this is actually the blessing of a spiritual awakening. You actually open your mind and you open your consciousness into a new state. You realize that everything that you have been taught so far by society or by your peers or by your teacher may not be that real. And now you get to actually attract and create the reality that you want to manifest. Now, is it a blessing or is it a curse? Well, from my perspective, it could be both, because a spiritual awakening can actually bring a lot of suffering attached to it. Okay, a spiritual awakening can bring a lot of suffering attached to it. And really, we really have to see it in both ways, you know, because I believe that the positive and the negative both have to be integrated. So what I've realized in my own journey was the fact that even if I have experienced bliss and harmony and peace and abundance, there was a time where the darkness hit me. There was a time where the darkness hit me. There was a time where I really had to face my own shadow. And in the spiritual awakening journey, the spiritual seeker actually goes sometimes, or maybe all the time, through what is called the dark night of the soul. Now, the dark night of the soul is really a rough experience to be experienced. Okay, the dark night of the soul is actually something that will make come to surface all of your shadows, all of your subconscious patterns. It may even bring up past life experiences. Okay, so when we are going through the dark night of the soul, what we have to do is we have to look within ourselves. Okay, we have to really accept the pain and accept the shadow and accept the suffering. So yes, a spiritual awakening is a blessing. In the end, it is a blessing, but there comes a time where it can also be a curse, because we experience so much shadow, so much low vibrational states of consciousness, so many low vibrational states of consciousness, so much suffering. Okay, and really when we are going through the dark night of the soul, we really have to see it as it is and not panic a lot, not go into that suffering and be scared of it. Okay, we really have to face our fear and we really have to go deep with it. Now, a spiritual awakening happens right now on the planet, and Gaia itself is actually raising its frequency to a new level. Okay, it is raising its energy, and we are receiving energy, planetary energy from we are receiving energies from higher dimensions, and individuals are starting to awaken more and more on the planet. And this is actually a good thing, because we realize that human consciousness is actually infinite. Okay, we have infinite potential, and we can actually begin to create anything that we desire. All that we need to do is actually look within ourselves and let the energy awaken through us. Okay, so yes, the planet is awakening, and there are so many individuals that are actually starting to resonate with the concept of spiritual awakening. And yes, in the end, spiritual awakening is a blessing. This is what I believe, that in the end, spiritual awakening is a blessing. But it can actually bring up a lot of shadows. It can bring up a lot of negative experiences. It can bring up a lot of pain and suffering. But we realize that even through these rough experiences, we only get to be stronger. Okay, we only get to be stronger, we only get to be wiser, we only get to be more in tune with our true natural state of consciousness. Okay, so what I'm realizing in my spiritual awakening was the fact that I also had to integrate the negative. I had to look deep into my shadows and accept myself unconditionally. So what I'm learning from my spiritual awakening is the fact that even if it's hard, in those hard moments, I get to actually love myself. Okay, I get to love myself, and I get to accept myself, and I get to appreciate myself. So guys, one of the lessons that I've learned from my spiritual awakening was the fact that even if it was negative, I still had to trust the process. I still had to love myself. I still had to appreciate and embrace myself. So my suggestion is, if you are going through a spiritual awakening, accept everything that is coming your way. Okay, accept everything that is coming your way, and make sure that you are listening to your intuition. Because when you awaken, it feels like everything is actually new again. It feels like you are actually being reborn. It feels like you are really opening your consciousness into a new state, into a higher state of awareness, into a state of observation, into a state of higher potential. Okay, and yes, it's a blessing. It's a blessing, especially in the first stage when you are feeling the bliss and the harmony and all the good stuff. But in the second stage, you are actually experiencing the dark night of the soul, which is something that can actually hurt you guys. The dark night of the soul is something that is really rough, and it is actually an ego death. Okay, and when you are experiencing ego death, you feel like you are in the void. You feel like you are in a low state of consciousness. You feel a lot of suffering. But I realized that the only way out is in. The only way out is in. So when I look deep within myself, and when I find the secret there, I realize that I'm actually an infinite beings an infinite spiritual beings of light and love. I'm a warrior of life. I'm a king. I'm a lion. Okay, so it's about really seeing the gift of experience. And I realized that even in the most negative experiences, there is actually a gift. And the gift is integration. The gift is inner strength. The gift is power, bliss, harmony, abundance. Okay, so yes guys, the spiritual awakening in the end is a blessing. But in the process and in the movement of consciousness, it can also feel like it's a curse, because there is a lot of suffering involved in it. But what I'm coming to realize is the fact that it's worth it. Okay, even the most negative experiences are actually worth it, because you get to actually learn from it. Okay, you get to learn from it. You get to actually love yourself in it. You get to embrace yourself in it. You get to actually face the demons and dragons of your own subconscious mind. Okay, so yes, spiritual awakening is a blessing. And it has the power to really open your potential to a new state of consciousness. It has the power to awaken your inner source and your mind and your heart into a new state. The state of higher principles, maybe. The state of universal laws. The state of love, of peace, of harmony. The state where you are beginning to actually create from a deeper level. The state from where you are beginning to attune yourself to universal consciousness. Really the state where you begin to actually use your unique talents and gifts. Okay, so yes, spiritual awakening is actually the awakening of the serpent that lays at the back of our spine. That is actually Kundalini energy, and that is actually divine feminine life force energy. When it awakens, it really has the power for you to actually change your DNA structure. It has the power for you to actually step into a higher state of consciousness. And again, so many individuals are actually awakening on the planet, and this is actually a beautiful gift. The gift of awakening. Okay, we live in the age, we are stepping into the age of Aquarius, which is the age of awakening, the age of information, the age of beginning to know more. Okay, it is no longer about belief, I believe that this is true or not. It is more about knowing. Now I begin to know. Now I begin to express myself. Now I begin to actually look deep within myself and find the secrets there. Okay, so yes, if you are experiencing a spiritual awakening, realize that it's time to celebrate. And even if it seems like it's negative at some point, celebrate still. Okay, because you deserve to actually integrate yourself in this amazing world. Okay, and what I came to realize in my spiritual awakening was the fact that, wow, anything is possible. Anything is possible, and humans have the power to awaken to a different truth. Humans have the power to awaken to a new state of consciousness, which is the consciousness of love, of peace, of harmony. Okay guys, so this is today's video about spiritual awakening. Is it a blessing or a curse? It could be both, but in the end it is actually a blessing. It is actually a gift from the universe. And me personally, I am forever grateful that I have experienced this gift. Okay, so guys, thanks for watching, and if you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe and leave a comment. And if you want to be part of my spiritual podcast called Consciously Awakening, feel free to send me a message. And if you wish to work with me and get to actually awaken your senses, if you want to work with me and get to know yourself in a more spiritual way, feel free to send me a message. Guys, I love you so much peace, and see you on what is coming up next. This video was about the question, is spiritual awakening a blessing or curse? In the end, it is a blessing, but in the process, it may feel like it is actually a curse. But you will have the power to go through it, because the universe never gives you more than you can handle. Bye bye guys, I love you so much, and see you on what is coming up next. I love you.